So lead and asbestos are similar in that if they are undisturbed, they're not flaking, peeling, showing signs of losing integrity, they're probably not going to present a risk. If we go into a home and it's pre-1978, but we don't see any chipping, peeling, cracking paint, we know that there aren't a lot of imminent lead risks to that family. When it becomes those disturbances of that lead paint, that's when you start to get that lead dust as that breaks down. And that lead dust is on every surface. The amounts are so small. The threshold is like if you sprinkled a salt packet across a football field. That's about how much lead we would be talking about in terms of the threshold of what's considered safe.
Welcome to the With You at Every Step podcast. We address your healthcare questions and help you navigate life's challenges. Our guests share their expertise and real-world advice related to care for older adults, grief and healing, and pregnancy and parenting. EveryStep is a nonprofit healthcare and human services organization offering dozens of programs that are there when people need us most. Learn more about our free and low-cost services at everystep.org. Thank you for listening. And here is our host, Polly Carver-Kim.
Welcome to With You at Every Step, our podcast where we talk about things that Every Step does to help the people in our community in so many ways. Hospice care, grief and loss services, care and support services, and also a really interesting program, I think, which is our Healthy Homes program. And we're excited today to have one of our newest employees joining us, and that's Kylie Spies. And Kylie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Polly. Excited to talk about this program with you.
Yeah, now you are the Healthy Outcomes Manager, is that correct? And I guess before we get into the Healthy Homes, tell me a little bit about what you do.
We have two programs. We have the Healthy Homes program and the Wellbeing Connections program. Both of those really acknowledge different parts of the family unit to say that it really takes all systems firing for families to be healthy, safe, and supported. So just like families need good health care, they need good social supports, they also need healthy and safe homes to thrive and to manage, especially any chronic conditions that the residents of those homes may have.
And I know from my own personal experience with allergies and such, and we're going to talk about issues way bigger than having a runny nose, but you can think your home is pretty good. I mean, you do your dishes every day and then you sweep the carpet and, dust the furniture and you think, it's not the, Taj Mahal, but it's okay. But especially in Iowa, where we have such a large concentration of older homes, there are, not to sound ominous, but there are lurking dangers in the paint on the walls or maybe the pipes that your house was originally plumbed with. And those are the kind of things that you really can focus on in the program that you're with. Is that right?
That's right. And, truth is, your home probably is pretty good. We all spend a lot of our time, like a not insignificant amount of our time each day maintaining our home, making sure that the dishes are done and that there's no dust and, no visible dirt, because we know how those make us feel, both mentally and physically. They can exacerbate those allergies. But a lot of homes, as you mentioned, especially older homes, tend to have other more pervasive health issues that can impact the family's health. Typically, we're looking at homes pre-1978 to address any lead concerns. Lead paint was phased out of construction at that time, but it, even after they became aware of the risks, it really persisted in building materials for decades after they stopped using it. Asbestos is another one. A lot of homes have asbestos in maybe like insulation tiles, pipe wraps, and those things represent a different degree of concern or risk depending on the condition of them, the age of the home, and so forth. And then, just as I said, all that maintenance just kind of catches up sometimes. You miss a couple cycles of maintenance and suddenly you've got a hole in the floor, you've got a loose banister, you've got those little things that can pose a health or safety risk. So we really try to look at the home as a unit and look at how those different conditions interplay with each other. New homes are not immune from this either. One of the trade-offs, if you have a newer home, it tends to be sealed up more tightly, so it's maybe more efficient, comfortable. That also introduces potential moisture issues. So we're always trying to look at the system as the home as a system, the home as a unit, to figure out where the most potential to improve those conditions are for families.
I just had to comment that when you talked about asbestos, I remember that this is years and years ago, but my parents lived in a over 100-year-old house, and they decided to replace the siding that was on the exterior of the home. And when a contractor came in, they were told, this is going to take specialized work because that old siding contained asbestos, and it was something that they couldn't do on their own. They needed specialized suits and masks and all that kind of stuff just to take the exterior siding off. Tell me a little bit about lead paint, because I know that is, there are many health effects from that, from learning disabilities to developmental delays. But I think a lot of people don't understand, well, it's on the wall. How is that a problem for, let's say, the kids in my home? Can you explain how the lead in paint can be ingested?
So lead and asbestos are similar in that if they are undisturbed, they're not flaking, peeling, showing signs of the losing integrity, they're probably not going to present a risk. If we go into a home and it's pre-1978, but we don't see any chipping, peeling, cracking paint, we know that there aren't a lot of imminent lead risks to that family. When it becomes those disturbances of that lead paint, that's when you start to get that lead dust as that breaks down. And that lead dust is on every surface. The amounts are so small. The threshold is like if you sprinkled a salt packet across a football field. That's about how much lead we would be talking about in terms of the threshold of what's considered safe. And that's especially important when you've got children under 6 in the home. As the brain is developing, if they're being exposed to that lead, that can really impact their brain functioning, their cognition, behavior. There's a lot of downstream impacts. So while our program doesn't necessarily focus on that lead component, it's a really critical piece of making sure, again, we're treating the house and the family system as a unit and that we're addressing all those things safely and appropriately as we go.
Can you repeat that analogy you made about this packet of salt? How little how little is dangerous?
So now I'm afraid the proportion is wrong, but I believe it's like a salt packet across a football field. That would be the amount of lead dust per square foot that we would be talking about.
I had never heard that before. That really puts things into perspective. That, you don't have to have big, sheets of paint coming off your wall. It's just this amount of dust and debris that can be in your home, and you may not even see it. It just looks like regular old dust. So let's bring EveryStep into this equation. We know that a lot of the older homes may have these problems. We know that a lot of times lower income live in older homes. And then EveryStep has a program to help them out. What do we do?
So EveryStep has the Healthy Homes program, and we have a variety of different ways that we can provide those services depending on the client, depending on the home. But we have recently received a grant from HUD, from the Housing and Urban Development federal agency, that is really focused on providing those healthy homes interventions to families in Polk County. So we are able to serve families in Polk County, especially homeowners. In some cases, we can work in rentals or multifamily units, primarily owner-occupied homes that meet the income criteria and where there is a potentially medically vulnerable or a resident or a person with a condition that might benefit from these. So we emphasize our services are oriented towards homes where there's a child with asthma in the home. So typically that's like ages 2 to 18. We can provide services to any home with a child under 6 that are targeted toward child injury prevention. So that's those services that avoid poisonings, burns, falls, some of those home hazards that may impact young children specifically. And we're also able to provide aging in place services. So if we have any residents who are 62 and over or who have a disability, we're able to provide some adaptations to the home that allow them to remain in the home longer and have a better quality of life in the home. And those services are oriented toward those modifications. It's things we can do to the dwelling to improve the quality of the home, the safety of the home, and make it more livable for those more vulnerable individuals for longer.
What are some examples of the modifications that can be made?
We know that with asthma, very often those allergies are the trigger. So if we're looking at things like carpet. Carpet can be a major source of mold. It can harbor a lot of dust, mold, a lot of irritants. So we're able to do things like replace carpeting with hard surface flooring that's easier to clean and easier to remove those allergens. If there's other sources of water intrusion that are creating a mold issue, often, many families have a wet basement in Iowa. Very, very common that you're getting some kind of water intrusion in the basement. We're able to do, work to gutters, grading, the sorts of things that kind of minimize water in the basement, roof leaks, things like that. Repair maintenance. So if you've got like a furnace that's not efficient, it's potentially, we can also address any safety issues in the home. So if you've got, for example, I mentioned like a loose railing or an absent railing, you've got windows on a second floor that are risky to a child, we're able to provide some of those modifications, whatever is appropriate for that client, that home, and that family. We're able to provide those.
Wow, that has to be a big load off the minds of the clients that are served, because as you're going through some of those things that can be done, none of them sounded very inexpensive. I mean, they're not the kind of thing, and the kind of things that even if you have all the resources necessary, it's still a blow to your pocketbook to have to put on new gutters or to have the basement waterproofed or new carpeting or new hard surface flooring instead of carpeting. Those are all expensive things.
They're expensive. And we always tell people it's not HGTV. I mean, you're not going to get top of the line everything when we come in. We're going to get you what's appropriate, easy to manage, that's going to be effective for your family and mitigate the health concern. It's one thing for us to replace the flooring. It might be another thing for us to be able to educate the homeowner on how to clean, so you have cleaning products that are less irritating for asthma patients, or how often to vacuum. The formula for how often you should vacuum, just fun fact, is 1 day per week for every person and animal in your home. So in my home,
goodness.
I know. In my home, that's 4 people plus 3 cats. That means 7 days a week I should be vacuuming. I assure you that is not happening. But those types of guidelines kind of help you wrap your head around what will work.
I'm afraid I'm way behind on that too. I don't have that many people in my household. Now I know, so I don't have an excuse any longer. I was speaking with somebody, one of your coworkers, this is over a year ago, about these kind of programs with healthy homes. And they had mentioned that some of the clients that we serve who are from a different culture, they didn't have any experience with vacuum cleaners, and didn't, first of all, that they were given a vacuum cleaner as part of the Healthy Homes Project, but they weren't sure how to use it, and they didn't know anything about changing the bags in the vacuum cleaner. And, my mind just kind of exploded at that point, because I thought, oh, man, I'd never even thought that way. Thankfully, people like you do think that way. And so when those kind of, helpful tools are provided, you guys give the education too, so that they know how to use them properly.
Yes, we see that the materials are nice. The education is what stays. So if we provide the HEPA filter vacuum or the furnace filters, that's great. But if the client doesn't know how to use it, how often to change the filters, then it's not going to be effective. Same with, for some of our clients, even those who don't own their home, we have some state funding to be able to provide those types of materials to families where the child has asthma. Some of the things we provide are like sealed, closed food containers, trash cans with a sealing lid, to minimize pests, to minimize the kind of mold and bacteria. And we can kind of educate the family on, when you're shopping for these types of things, here's what to look for, or here's how to kind of clean things, maintain things, so that when we're gone and our services are complete, what happens if that vacuum breaks, or you move and you lose this device. Like, you have more of the education, then that tends to stay.
Can I kind of switch gears just a little bit and go to the other end of the age spectrum, because you talked about these services also being available to older residents of Polk County, and that is such a such an issue now with aging in place, and many people choose to do that. And of course, we support that as an organization as long as they're healthy, and that's why you guys exist. Your program does. What kind of things should, let's say, we as adults maybe have a parent who is aging at home. How should we be looking at maybe the place where we grew up and now maybe it's not so safe for mom and dad? What kind of things should we be looking for?
Well, one of the biggest things in terms of the dwelling and the modifications we look at with seniors is slip, trip, and fall risks. So we're wanting to look, we can do things like zero entry showers or replacing, flooring again. We can install grab bars, those types of modifications that make it a little easier to get around the house. One of the things that we often find is that it's as much of a heart-to-heart about the kind of living conditions in the home and the experience that they're having as it is the unit itself. So sometimes when you're working with seniors, they have had a change in mobility. Sometimes it was very abrupt. Sometimes it kind of snuck up on them. Felt like one day it was just a lot more effort to do the laundry or to, mow the lawn. Sometimes it's just about that independence of I don't want to ask for help, or I don't want to let some of these things go, minimizing the clutter, because it is hard to manage a lot of stuff that you accrue over decades of life and experience. So, but some of those things can present real health hazards, but they're also, if they're a critical part of the person's identity, those are tough conversations to have sometimes. So just, it's really about balancing those logistical things we can do with the unit with respecting that client's wishes, goals, and just, honoring their story and what brought them to the place that they're at and how we can support them in what they want to achieve.
This may be a question that is kind of out there, but those conversations are difficult to have. And do you counsel the child on how to speak with their parent? Or are you there as kind of a mediator, or do you have tips for children when they are saying, hey, mom, I don't know about that old carpet anymore. You're tripping on it. How do we bring that up or even start to have a constructive conversation?
And every situation is different. Sometimes we're working with seniors who are very, very independent. They haven't really told anybody, or they don't want us to come till their house is clean. We're telling them, but we're here because we want to help you with that. You don't have to handle that alone. You do not have to clean for us. So you get folks who are really very independent, or maybe you get folks who are living with their child, or their child is renting a home to them. So you have these relationships where the parent and the child are sort of trying to navigate their aging in place together. So it just really kind of depends on the client. We try to always lead with curiosity. So I always encourage my team to just be curious. You're not in there to fix things, to be the helper. You are there to hear their goals, listen to what they want, what their vision is for their life. And we're going to see how we can make that happen if that vision and goal includes remaining in their home a little longer.
Kylie, that is I'm so glad you said that, because one thing EveryStep is not is the superhero with the cape that swoops in and, fixes everything in the home and makes your life better. And then we swoop back out again. EveryStep is really about education, providing resources, but just like you just said, respecting the wishes of, in this case, the homeowner, and being there as a resource and not as a, fixer up, where, like you said, it's not HGTV where we come in and make everything perfect. It's really about improving their lives with their assistance. I do have one more question for you here. I saw something about your 8 healthy homes principles that anybody can take action upon in their own home. I'm really going to test your memory here now, but can you run down those, or the ones that are at the top of your mind?
Thanks. Challenge accepted. I will tell you all 8. I'm not from memory. So the Healthy Homes principles are a set of guidelines for what constitutes a healthy and safe home. HUD uses these as guidelines. These are really widely accepted standards by which you can keep your home in optimal condition. So the first one is to keep it clean. That's when we're referring to things like the dust, bacteria, pet dander. A lot of people don't know, I didn't know when I started in this role, that dust mites have not been in the United States forever. Like they were introduced about a century ago and have been plaguing our allergies ever since. So, and if to manage reduce dust mites in the home, it's best to keep the humidity between 30 and 60%. Most of us don't really know what 30 to 60% humidity in your home feels like. But, you know, that little $5 stick-on hygrometer temperature gauge that you can pop on your fridge, a lot of people find those really interesting. Say, I need to bust out my dehumidifier. It's getting a little sticky in here. So that can mean we can do things like mattress covers, steam mops, those covered trash cans again, just the education about what to clean, how often, and provide kind of those checklist cheat sheets where people don't feel like they're adding that to their mental load. It's like, well, I have a list of what I need to do to each day, each week, and so forth.
That is very, very interesting. The dust mites. What have we done in America? Oh, gosh. Anything else that we need to know?
So the other 7 I'll run this. So it's keep your home dry, keep it pest-free, contaminant-free, safe, ventilated, comfortable, and maintained. And we are happy to provide resources on that. If you reach out, if you are, just connect with us, and we're happy to share all the resources, all the facts and figures that you're interested in to learn more about those and learn what you can do for your own home.
And how do we get in touch with you?
So you can always email us. That's probably the quickest way to reach our team. And that would just be healthyhomes@everystep.org.
Very easy. Kylie, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you.
I learned a lot, and I think I better go clean. At least vacuum. And I even have those hard surface floors, but man, I got work to do, I guess. Kylie Spies has been with us. She's the Healthy Outcomes Manager here at EveryStep. And like she said, she has all the information you need about making your home as healthy as it can be for all stages of life. And again, that email, if you want to get in touch with her, is healthyhomes@everystep.org. And someone will be right back in touch with you. If you want to learn more about all the things that EveryStep does, you can visit us at everystep.org and click around. You'll find information on our Healthy Homes program and a lot of other great services that we provide in Polk County and throughout the state of Iowa. Thanks again, Kylie. We'll have you back on the show again to talk about some other programs that you're in charge of. But for now, that's With You at Every Step, and I'm Polly Carver-Kim.